Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2. Now, word on the StarCraft street has it that this particular series features a unit that I haven't seen in a very long time. It's been several months since I've last seen a battlecruiser. And somebody mentioned to me that apparently this series is first off a bit of a banger and that none other than ByuN ends up going for battlecruisers. Very excited to find out exactly how we got to that point. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Terran SCVs. I guess if we have 2 Terrans, there's twice the chance for there to be battlecruisers. From China, we're looking at none other than Oliveira's main command center. Now, this particular series was played during the StarCraft 2 World Championships. Both of these players are previous world champions of the game. Oliveira, 2023. That amazing set of games that he played during... well, honestly, that entire event, the Kijkwijzer tournament, is... I just get nerd chills just thinking about it. His opponent, back in 2016. He ended up winning BlizzCon at the time. I was there for both of the finals. I just realized I was there for ByuN's as well. It was actually kind of funny. I was there at BlizzCon, and Blizzard invited me to be part of... what did they call this? Like the media crew or something? I got like a media badge, even though I didn't really have to do anything. I wasn't like working the event or whatever. I was just there as a spectator. Like back then, they would still invite people to do StarCraft related stuff, and it was really fun. Now, I had a press badge. And because of that, I could hang out with the photographers right at the very front of the stage. And I remember the security guy, he checked my badge. He's like, okay, well, I guess you're allowed in, but where's the camera? So I was there shoulder to shoulder, trying to take pictures of ByuN when he picked up the trophy. Except I was taking pictures with my phone. And it turns out the other photographers did not really appreciate me being there all too much. But I had just as much right to be there as them. And, yeah, they tried pushing me out of the way a couple of times. But you know what? I think my pictures turned out pretty good. At least for Instagram. It was fine for Instagram. That picture is still up there, actually. Pretty happy with how that one turned out. ByuN looked straight into the lens, okay? It was kind of fun. I think he probably realized that I was right there in front of all of the other people with my phone taking pictures next to guys with professional camera setups. It was a little bit of a mess. Anyways, Oliveira. Yeah, I'm like the guy taking pictures with an iPad at a concert, you know? That's basically what I felt like, except this was back in 2016, so it's been a little while. Oliveira opening up the double barracks here, so he's gonna be sending a bunch of those Reapers straight across the map. This is one of the annoying things you can do in TVT. ByuN, generally speaking, plays ladder games very differently than he would tournament games. So, for example, in this particular match, he has decided to skip any sort of scouting. He's got a Reaper out, but, I mean, this one is not going to be able to do much against 3 of them. And he's also decided to skip the SCV scout, so he doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against. And, yeah, he's going to be able to save the command center now that he's got Hellions out. But this is still a bit annoying. There's actually more Reapers coming in. He may very well need some more. Is he going to be able to finish it? Remove the scaffolding! Remove it! Okay, fine, good. That SCV somehow, some way got all the credits for building it, even though he did nothing. Ultimately, Oliveira will be forced to get back home. He's in the meantime building up his own command center on the low ground, and he's been able to tech up towards that starport right now as well. So ultimately, the results here are relatively comparable. And now it's going to be ByuN's turn to head across the map. Now, Oliveira's tournament run last year at Kijkwijzer, where he became the world champion. I mean, one of the, actually not one of the, I think it's the most glorious tournament runs in StarCraft 2 that I have ever seen in 14 years of competition. Oliveira winning that event was just, it was insane. It was so good. The Hellions drive in. There are Cyclones, however, for base defense. Jimmy, sadly, did not quite make it. Mark didn't either. But ultimately, this is both players just trying to be a little bit annoying. But in that particular tournament, Oliveira ended up facing off against, in the round of 12, he played Hero Marine, one of those opponents. So first off, actually, in the group stage, Oliveira went on to the playoff stage, even though he was 2-3 in match score, just because there was another player that also had the same match score as him. But he ended up, well, moving on into the next stage of the tournament because of the amount of maps that he won compared to the other competitor. So he almost didn't make it into the playoffs. Then in the round of 12, he played against Hero Marine, one of those matchups that Oliveira probably well, wasn't really quote-unquote supposed to win, because, well, Hero Marine was playing really good. Obviously, Oliveira was playing well too, but I think a lot of people were like, that's about a 50-50. Then he went up against Raynor in the round of 8. Then against Hero in the round of 4, and then against Maru in the grand finals. Just insane. Nice little scan there. Does finish this up. And the second Banshee. I mean, we have a scouting medevac here. Yeah, this is an empty medevac. There's nothing inside of it. Anyways, just thinking of that Oliveira tournament run just gives me nerd chills, man. Hey, what? Well, that was weird. Ooh, well, this is not going well, ByuN. I mean, I guess it's 2 scans, but very few workers have actually gone down. Wonderful, interception right there by Oliveira. He realized where that unit was gonna appear. The medevac sort of showed us the path, and because of that, Oliveira managed to get some good bit of damage done. Only 2 Cyclones. They're one of the funkiest units in the game. Generally speaking, not made, very often at all, but in the early game, in the right place, at the right time, they can be very powerful. Now, there's a couple of siege tanks set up here for ByuN for the defense. We do have the Cyclones and the siege tanks here as well. Oh, I don't think you're gonna do that. Nope, we're gonna have to unsiege that. Really? Okay. In the meantime, there's a lot of aggression too on the other side of the map. Looks like actually 13 SCVs ended up going down. Yeah, 6 and 7 kills. And that suddenly makes this game so much better for ByuN. Killing a load of workers on the other side of the map and then also shutting down the aggression with ease. Getting a little greedy. Wanted to get a mule or 2 as well, but ultimately that is still a very worthwhile sacrifice for ByuN. Keeping both of those tanks alive is actually super good. So in this matchup, the basic unit composition, it's all around the Marine tank. So Marine tank is usually the mid-game approach. Early game is a little bit up in the air. I'm sure we'll see some more of that as well in this best of 5 series. In the early game of TVT, it kind of feels like you can build anything. Right? From the lowly Marine all the way up to the Battlecruiser. Everything has its place. But the mid-game is very dominant, or dominated rather, with just Marine tank and obviously medevacs and all the rest of it to join in the fray too. Vikings are critical. We do have one of the siege tanks just barely getting picked up. Vikings are critical because you can, well, first off fight your opponent's medevacs, but then also allow your siege tanks to shoot at their maximum range. But the thing about those tanks is that they can shoot away further than they can see, and that's exactly, well, you can obviously do the same thing with a scan, but at this point in the game, it's not like ByuN has a million scans ready to go. Gonna have to make sure he's careful, but yeah, later on it is very, very nice to have those scans available too, but Vikings are still critical. And then ultimately, if you can get there, if your economy is big enough, Liberators also are a very popular play. I guess there's Ravens. Ravens, one of the units we rarely see in Terran versus Protoss. Very uncommon in Terran versus Zerg, but very popular in TVT. If we end up getting there, I guess I'll give you the rundown as to exactly what their use is. Because ByuN is coming in right now with a big drop. There's already... Jeez, okay. My god. We just have a couple of legs left over. That's all that happened. This guy is not shying away from gunning down a bunch of those troopers. And you know, in the meantime, like, this is not going all too hot. I mean, both of these guys are donating an awful lot of units to one another. Not the cleanest thing at all. Ultimately, though, these are the type of games that usually make the most entertaining matches. When both players just make a bunch of mistakes. Obviously, this is, well, from the EWC, right? $1 million tournament. So these guys are taking it exceptionally serious. The only problem when you take things very serious is that you may also be mentally preparing for it for such a long time that you actually start slipping up. You start making more mistakes than you ordinarily would make, and... well, let's see. We have siege tanks. Yeah, he's gonna drop the siege tanks. 4, 5 tanks versus 3. There's the Liberators coming in, though. Liberators are very good when it comes to killing those units on the ground. Not a lot of tanks remain. No Vikings up in the air for ByuN either. So we have another big committed push. Well, falling flat on its face. At the very least, he ended up killing a bunch of his opposing players' units too. A bunch of siege tanks going down, but yeah, you can see that Oliveira pretty happy with how that went. He decides to, well, start up a 4th command center. But in the meantime, on the other side of the map, we also have ByuN doing the exact same thing. It's kind of funny, we have all these traits, but the economy and the upgrades and everything else is Not quite identical, but it's not that far off. Both players very much so playing a similar game, and since we are on Golden Aura, it's a very nice map to defend on. It's difficult in general to, well, score to win, right? Even when you're far ahead in TVT, it can still be very difficult to actually close out an advantage, just because the siege tanks and the Sim City and all that makes it very difficult to push. Usually your main advantage that you can push is going into Liberators and whatnot a little bit easier. But yeah, in general, TVT is a tough matchup, and then TVT on this map, it's just really difficult to really drive home a big advantage. Now we have additional starports coming. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the plan is with those. Sometimes we arrive at just full Sky Terran. Sky Terran is really nice, where we fight with the Marines early on, but then ultimately, as the money starts coming in, you can start making a proper transition. Another factory is starting up in the meantime here for ByuN. So ByuN sticking around on a ground-based army for a little bit longer. Here he comes once again. Oh, wow. I was gonna say, Jimmy, somehow, some way, making the run. Siege tank count is looking really quite good here for ByuN, though, but how in the world do you push them in, right? So it's 7 tanks versus 7. Except you're, as the defender here, in a much easier position. You can't really get a good fight in, so yeah, maybe ByuN can do a bit of a soft contain, but we already have Oliveira going up to 4 bases. It'll be a planetary fortress here at the bottom of the map. All of this is very easy to defend. Okay. Where's that second starport? So yeah, it's gonna be reactors on both of them for now. So we'll just have the option to make medevacs, Vikings, and Liberators. All of them are very, very nice, because ultimately, they just aid the siege tanks. So the Marines, sorry to tell you guys, you're mostly just cannon fodder, but you also can deal a lot of damage. But you're mostly the mineral dump, whilst we're building up some higher tier units. The only thing you have to be really concerned of here as Oliveira, as he is starting to transition into just a lot more mechanical units rather than a lot of bio units, is that the drops can actually be extremely dangerous. ByuN is obviously known for his very good control. If you can suddenly sail into the main base, well, we already have a preparation. A ring of missile turrets is being constructed. We have a bunch of Vikings on idle too. But if suddenly a bunch of medevacs come flying in, the game can become very, very tricky. There's the starports coming up here as well for ByuN. As both players are really just testing the waters, right? It's not that they're not looking to end the game. It's just that in a situation like this, it's very difficult to pull it off. When you're behind in the Viking count, so currently there's 7 Vikings for Oliveira. It's really not that many, but there's none at the moment for ByuN. But when you're behind in that Viking count, how do you catch back up? So you kind of have to add on additional starports of your own, or maybe try to get a good engagement against the opponent. Even though 7 Vikings is not a ton, when you're both just pumping out Vikings... Okay, we have tech labs coming up instead. We have a bit of a switch here. But it can be very difficult to actually catch up in that department. So small advantages can lead to very significant ones a little bit later on. Now, I would imagine this is going to be for the good old Raven. Ravens are extremely handy in this matchup. So they have well, all of their abilities are good, but most notably, they have an ability called, there we go, Interference Matrix. That's what's being researched right now in this tech lab. It allows you to temporarily disable the opposing player's units. So if you throw that onto a siege tank, the siege tanks are not going to be able to do anything for, what is it, like 5, 6, 7 seconds? I'm not exactly sure how long, but long enough to make the difference is all you really need to know. There's a fusion core coming up for Oliveira. Okay. Who may very well be thinking about some battlecruiser play of his own. I would imagine this for now is just going to be for Liberator ranged. Additional range on those libs is very, very nice. But at this point in time, I'm liking the position here for Oliveira quite a bit. I don't really think he can be attacked. We can try. That's a very ambitious way to siege up. I was gonna say, that's a little silly. Alright, fair enough. I don't think he can really be pushed into. There's indeed the advanced ballistics research. Those sort of siege ups are no longer a problem when you do get into, well, the Liberator ranged upgrade. Ravens can also be used to disable the opposing player's Ravens, so sometimes that's a little funky. So we do have a bit of a YOLO attack here from Oliveira. This is mostly him opening up some supply. He didn't really want to keep all those Marines around anymore, so he got whatever value he could find. Alright. High-sec auto-tracking coming up here for Oliveira. That's additional range for his missile turrets and his planetary fortress. That is, technically a good upgrade, but it's the only thing you only really start getting this sort of thing whenever you get, a lot of resources and you feel like you can get away with it. Setting up a lot of static defense and basically just making it impossible for ByuN to be the aggressor. Other than the disabling upgrade, the ability right here for those ravens, they also have an ability called anti-armor missile. You throw it onto an opposing player's clump of units, and all of them will temporarily take bonus damage because their armor is reduced, which is massive. It's one of the ways in which you can still win a Viking war, even if you have less Vikings. And then, of course, they also have the little auto turret. Generally speaking, very useful too. But not really the main goal here at this point in time. I think they're gonna mostly be looking at the interference matrix and then also the anti-armor missile. But if we have some leftover energy, may as well dump it on a bunch of auto turrets. Now, ByuN is gobbling up all the bases on the map. He's saying, yo, Oliveira, you want 5 bases? Perfect. I'll take like 8. If you get away with it, obviously it's gonna be amazing. 6 command centers on the production tab. 6! Well, 7 technically, I guess, if you count Oliveira's one too, but that is a lot. When you get to that many CCs, at some point you don't really need any SCVs anymore. You can just start getting rid of them, because you can do most of your mining with mules if you want to, but usually in this matchup, the reason why we do see a lot of command centers added into the mix is for those beautiful scans. Yep. Terrans have the mighty ability. Ooh. So I was told it was ByuN going battle cruisers, but maybe it's... Well, this is the Yamato cannon upgrade. Weapon refit. Oliveira is preparing a BC switch. He's currently maxed out, but he's essentially saying, yo, once I lose these units, I am down to go ahead and make a bunch of battle cruisers. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you for the example. That's the interference matrix. Lasts quite a long time. Yeah, so ByuN can obviously decide to just play a lot of marine-heavy styles if he wants to. He's 7... Okay, no, he's got 7 starports. 7 starports versus 5. 7 is a lot, though. But yeah, the nice thing about making a load of command centers is that you can use it to temporarily disable the fog of war, right? Both players are gonna sing the song of their people. And in the late game, it sounds like... Oh. We're gonna all over the map. That's what Terran players like to do, man. I'm pretty sure that's their alarm sound. Every morning when they wake up. Actually, let's be real. Pro gamers. Every afternoon they wake up. Probably a more accurate way to say it. About 3:30 p.m. Okay. ByuN is just taking every base. And that is dangerous for Oliveira. So Oliveira has been... Ooh, we have a mass amount of interferences. The only problem is the marine count is so low now. There's a lot of waves, a lot of rows of siege tanks. Yeah, he's gonna just reintroduce more marines at this point in time. So he has a lot of money, at least that he can get really rapidly. It's just that because he's been building so many command centers, he really doesn't have that much. So he's actually mostly broke as far as the minerals go. Now there is a point though where the command center dance is done, right? So economically speaking, this is certainly in favor here of ByuN, even though he doesn't have quite as much money. Command center in the top right did get destroyed, of course, by Oliveira, who's now going to be... Alright, this is ByuN trying to build a command center on top of another command center. That's where command centers come from. Never mind, actually. Instead, we're going to be using our wrench and our drill to start attacking the other player's SCV. I feel like ByuN may have been a little overeager starting up all of those bases. Because you can tell here that Oliveira... He doesn't really feel a rush to very quickly expand all over the map. He's just taking the bases whenever he needs them. Okay. A command center gets killed to be replaced with a command center that gets killed to be replaced with a command center. And I think that story will probably continue with the command center getting killed. Yeah, so both players have basically got whatever they need. Now, what do you do when you're a mineral millionaire? Where do you go? Additional factories, apparently, for ByuN. The one thing I would like to see here for both players is a heavy focus on armory upgrades. So we have one armory here for Oliveira. There's really no reason for him to only have one, if we're being very critical. But I think both players are basically saying, yo, we don't really need to fight. We're gonna keep testing. We'll give it a shot. But any main battles are not gonna happen yet. This is one of those weird situations too, where usually you don't really want to be fighting all too much. Because whoever is the attacker is likely gonna fall behind. Because you're pushing into siege tanks, you're pushing into liberators, you're pushing into, well, apparently missile turrets, although the men in the missile turrets have become neighbors. That's beautiful. There must always be a man in a missile turret. Fusion core coming up. We have 4 siege tanks that are part of a control group but currently stuck. So we do have a big jump forward here from ByuN. At the very least, he's getting some good value. ByuN is moving around this map very confidently. You know what? He's actually getting a really good set of engagements here. Keep in mind that this is mostly just Marines that ByuN is fighting with, aka units that feel like they're mostly free. He is ready to replace them with something that's a little bit better, but that's a lot of CCs going down. Okay. Viking counts at this point. Oh. Where are we? Are these ByuN's SCVs coming in? I feel like these are ByuN's SCVs that are making their way to build some missile turrets over here. We have 16 Vikings. Yeah, that's ambitious. Yeah, it's ByuN's SCVs coming in. 16 versus 17 Vikings. And the armor missile can very quickly change the tide of battle. Oliveira is starting to get rid of some of his SCVs, mostly because he does want to replace them with something a little better. But Oliveira is apparently perfectly fine with his opponent pushing in this section of the map. He's not really hurrying to try and, well, get rid of these Terran units. He's mining the gold base in the far bottom left. He's given his opponent the base in the top right. But I think that's still totally fine here for Oliveira. Resources lost-wise, yeah, it is slightly in favor of ByuN at this point in time, which is curious because ByuN has been the aggressor, but he's been fighting some really good engagements here. Additional starports? My god. What we need is 9 starports. Clearly. We need 11 starports. We're maxed out, but we need another starport. You know that opening scene of Harry Potter? Where the little kid is upset that he only got like 37 gifts this year or whatever? That's basically ByuN right now. This man needs another starport. We throw around a bunch of anti-armor missiles. So basically what he's ready to do is to be a Zerg player, right? He wants to essentially just instantly remax. The idea is, at some point I'll lose my army, but I'm gonna be able to basically replace it all with one production cycle. Oliveira seems really calm to me. Am I crazy? Like, he is not concerned at all, it seems, about what ByuN is doing right now. He's like, yeah, no, you keep juggling over here. Don't really care. I'll just take this base again, and we both know it's gonna mine out at some point. So all of your efforts, I mean, they're nice. You're getting some decent trades, I suppose. But this is gonna come down to the big battles. And I don't really care about fighting these small fights so much. 10 Vikings coming up at once. That means that almost all starports are doing something. Actually, no, we have reactors, I'm sure. Oh, no. No. ByuN is too rich for reactors, okay? Reactors are for poor Terrans. We don't use those anymore. Okay. There is a point as well where Thors can actually be helpful in this matchup. One of the Ravens goes down. Interference matrix also thrown around. I mean, ByuN is getting some really nice trades though, overall. He keeps on pushing in. There's another anti-armor missile. Now, does he want to bring a lot of siege tanks to the front too? Apparently, this may very well trigger Oliveira to go in. But both players really just getting all their upgrades going. Keep in mind that we've had the weapon refit for some time already. So the Yamato gun is really the only extra upgrade here that we have for Oliveira that's relevant at this point in time. Plus to the air weapons, by the way, is something that's missing still for Oliveira. I do believe that that is something he will be trying to get ASAP, because he can't really take fights at this point in time very well. There's a... what do we call this? A macro-planetary fortress? There's a planetary in the middle of the map. Mostly just trying to protect this lane. Jimmy decided to fight a siege tank single-handedly. Didn't go well. Yeah, so all those units covered in the orange Dorito dust. That stuff is taking additional damage from units that are... Ooh, you got a kill. No, he didn't get a kill. What? Something died there. But it was not Jimmy. Anyways, all those units take bonus damage because they have an armor reduction at this point in time. So there will be a clash between these armies, I'm sure. More command centers is clearly what we need. Because, like, at this point, there's only, what, 19... yeah, this is a little embarrassing. Only 19 command centers. ByuN's trying to build an additional command center for the next game. Maybe he can start with a new one. Okay. Oliveira decides to jump in. He hasn't really done any big committed attack, but he's decided to move in around the site. Now a lot of auto turrets are being dropped down too, since everything has already been disabled and everything was already covered with the anti-armor missiles. Oliveira shuts this down. But at what cost? Well, would you look at that? Big Daddy Battlecruiser is coming out. You have to be cautious, though, going into Battlecruisers, because Vikings are very good against BCs, and obviously Ravens can still be used against them as well. One important thing to note is that ByuN only got the +2 for the mechanical attack for the ground, so he doesn't actually have maxed out siege tanks. It's something that's easily forgotten, but I hope for his sake he checks one of his armories in a moment. We're gonna do a slow push right now, as Oliveira, towards that expansion that he tried mining in the top right-hand corner. They've been trading that base for a while. ByuN has decided that he doesn't really want to fight that section of the map, so he's instead gonna try and do a missile turret attack. I think that's the first time I've ever said that out loud. Command center in the top right-hand corner is gone. It's gonna be replaced with another command center. After the command center got replaced by a command center. After that command center got replaced. After that command center also got replaced by a command center. We have a couple of battlecruisers out right now. Here we go, though. Big anti-armor missiles. We have auto turrets dropped on the ground as well. And this is one of those games that is gonna be decided by flying units. Yep. The age for the ground unit is mostly over. You do need some siege tanks here to make sure that the opponent can't just shove with a bunch of Marines. But that's the goal. Here's the battlecruiser, though. Yamato gun is coming up as well for ByuN. Although this BC is gonna be dead. BCCing you. Sorry. Here's another battlecruiser trying to get something done. It's funny because I just read a Reddit thread about somebody complaining, or actually a Battle.net forum post, about somebody complaining that battlecruisers are too powerful. But whenever we see them in a pro game, they die within a second. Okay. You know what? Here we go. This guy is gonna be obnoxious. I think Oliveira doesn't really mind losing SCVs at this stage in the game, but at least it's a thorn in his side. Anti-armor missiles are being thrown all around the map. Oliveira is going to try and see if he can push in here. He really needs to remax with his army, because he's only sitting at 130 supply. He's losing an awful lot of troops. This fight, it's a very expensive one. He doesn't have the Viking number, so he decides to land the Vikings on the ground. He's just lost 20 SCVs too, and he's got to make the transition right now towards Thors. So Oliveira has realized that he can't really fight a man with 11 starports. So he's decided that the way to engage this now is with a ground-based army instead. Never mind, I told you that the age for the ground army was over. Apparently it's become the minimum range. He's decided that he can't fight the opponent's air army. So he's going to be using a ground-based unit composition here for the most part instead. Obviously, you still need Ravens. You still want to get a bunch of Vikings. But Thors, with their Javelin missiles, can put in a lot of work. Oliveira actually lost the command center in the bottom left. This one battlecruiser, 24 committed kills. And you know what? I didn't actually think that this BC was going to do much. But this guy is an absolute giga, Chad. Not bad at all. 24 kills, including a command center. Most of it is SCVs. Oliveira now has his eyes set over here in the top right-hand corner. New battlecruisers are on the horizon. ByuN is going to be bringing some more of them. Siege tanks right now are within range of the planetary. Yeah, the Battlenet forum post was right after all. Battlecruisers are overpowered. Blizzard! Sorry. That's, I believe, how you do it. I've been on the Battlenet forums many times, as we do have Oliveira committing in. Is there enough stuff right now for him to break? Keep in mind that the Thors deal splash damage to clumped up units, and that's exactly the reason why ByuN decides to drop the army. My god, it's very cinematic. It's exactly the reason why ByuN decides to drop his army to the ground. Keep in mind that Vikings, when they are landed, deal bonus damage to mechanical. They deal an awful lot of damage to mech armies. It feels a little funky, because they're usually played as an anti-air unit. But they're still very good when they're fighting, say for example, a Thor straight up. They get torn apart by a bunch of siege tanks, but in a straight up fight, these Thors actually are probably gonna die. And at this point, look at the supply counts. We've had a lot of fights. We've had engagements all over the map. ByuN is looking to seal the deal with a battlecruiser attack. Take it slow. What else do they say? Battlecruiser operational. I think that's actually the StarCraft 1 battlecruiser, isn't it? Anyways. Chris Metzen, the original voice actor. I believe it's Chris Metzen. I think he does the Marine in StarCraft 1, the battlecruiser in StarCraft 1. And also like characters like Thrall in World of Warcraft. Who called in the fleet? 5 of them coming up. We have a couple of minerals being... Aww. Aww, that's beautiful. They're sharing the golden minerals. Oliveira hasn't learned to share, however. It's a problem. Look at the minimap, though. It would be nice if there was, like, one ability to, like, temporarily disable the entirety of the Fog of War. If you spend all the energy of like 10 orbitals combined. So, something like that. Alright, so the battlecruiser count is actually growing though. ByuN is currently maxed out. And he's decided to essentially go for a full Sky Terran army. With, well, 13 siege tanks for support. Mostly because he knows that his opponent is probably broke. Oh jeez. Very ambitious play over here. Probably broke. So, if that's the case, Oliveira will probably go back to making a bunch of Marines. Now, keep in mind that this is game number 1 in a best of 5. I may have to go and get some coffee. Because this is looking like a series that could take a while. Oliveira grabs that base in the bottom left. He's very confident about mining these 130 or so resources that are left over. ByuN, in the meantime, is gobbling up whatever money is still left. This entire map is just about to be mined out. And ByuN has got way more stuff. Now, generally speaking, more stuff beats less stuff. There have also been a lot of missile turrets, by the way, in this game. Yeah, 26 missile turrets lost on both sides. 24 still left over here. 17 for ByuN. More battlecruisers coming up. We're going... about 20 battlecruisers in a single game. Not bad whatsoever. Okay. I mean, this is about the best fight Oliveira can be taking. Yeah, this is exactly where those siege tanks come in so handy. Interference matrices are disabling all of those battle cruisers as well. Are the numbers good enough right now for Oliveira to bring this back? I love these missile turrets here as well for ByuN. Ultimately a very handy unit. The Thors decide to land on the ground too. The Vikings though... Wait, the Thors were already landed on the ground. The Vikings though decide to join them. And this is a fight that the Thors will certainly not win. GG is cold. And it's indeed ByuN who wins game number 1. Alcyone is next. Okay. I've decided to fast forward through the first 2 minutes of the game because everything's been quite normal. We go to the point where the Reapers come out. Both players opening up in an identical strategy. We have command centers going up eventually, but this has been a double gas start, meaning that the factory can come out nice and early. Now we play a little mini game that the Terrans call Grenade Chicken, where the Reapers throw grenades at one another. And it's the first player to move, aka Blink, who well, probably dies. Now, actually, you gotta be very careful. It's gonna be Hellion Banshee right now for Oliveira, who's the player in red in the top section of the map. ByuN once more going into the good old Cyclones. Actually, was it him playing Cyclones in the previous game? Anyways, it's a good unit to have here in the earlier stages, just to shut everything down that the opponent can throw at you. Starport's coming up as well. A little bit earlier here for ByuN than for the opponent. He's got a reactor right next to this, so probably not gonna be any shenanigans for now with, for example, a Banshee, like what he did in the previous game. Reapers are sneaking around the site. Now this is the part of TVT where the game can actually just be over very quickly. Like a lot of ladder games, a lot of games in, say, for example, like Diamond League and Master League will end at this stage because it's so easy to accidentally make a mistake and just lose. Reapers go into the main base, Hellions go into the natural. In the meantime, there's Reapers over on the other side of the map being annoying too. Well, we have a couple of Hellions shooting at a command center. An ambitious play, but not one that's particularly good. But still a lot of SCVs get killed here. Yeah. So 2 SCVs were killed by those Reapers. And in the meantime, the Reapers of Oliveira, together with the Hellions, ended up killing 7. And you can imagine if you have a Cyclone engagement, right? Or in a little bit, siege tanks will be rolling out as well. The margin for error is just so tiny. You can just very easily make a mistake. And then the most basic follow-up attacks with, say, for example, Stimpack or anything along those lines, right? It will just be game ending. It seems like most of the time TVT games either end early, maybe in the mid game, or late. The previous game was late, I guess is what we can call that. But I've always been a fan of this matchup. I think it's fun. I know in general, casting mirror matchups, uploading videos of mirror matchups, it's a dangerous decision. But if you are liking this, please take the second that it takes to hit the like button down below on the YouTube channel. It really does help. One of the easiest ways to get a video to be promoted to more people. It's funny because every video where I actively ask, those videos perform significantly better. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Alrighty, so command center's coming up here for Oliveira. That's a third base. He's mining with 3 gas geysers at the moment, and he's gonna need all of that income for those Raven. The Ravens are very good. No, Cyclones? Can we get a... No. They were looking at that siege tank. He wanted to drop them right next to the siege tank, but it was a Cyclone defensively as well for Oliveira. Yeah, TVT is actually a very dynamic matchup. At least at a high level. I feel like your average game of like TVT and, I don't know, like Master League is not that interesting. Because it's mostly players trying to do the thing that we see from these guys, but then not doing it nearly as well. And then usually it becomes a bit of a disaster. But at the highest level, I think the mirror matchups are all fantastic. Oliveira, in the meantime, has brought a medevac with units towards the other side of the map. We still see ByuN doing the same thing too. Both of the SCVs building those engineering bases already got shut down. Ravens managed to get the kill on the Liberator. This really is like real-time chess, where the board is constantly changing and you can't see what the opponent is doing, right? Like, it's very complex. There's loads of layers to it. I feel like Protoss versus Protoss and ZVZ are also really nice, though. Maybe the average game of PvP at the pro level is not necessarily super interesting, but at least when I get to cast them, right, after games are already played, and, you know, for example, whenever I cover a PvP on YouTube or a ZVZ on YouTube, I get to pick and choose whatever games I want. So usually, right, they're already gonna be pretty dang amazing. Even though the average game of PvP may be a bit of a mess sometimes. I mean, I recently casted that bunch of games that MaxPax played, where he made like 100 Dark Templar and like 200 Stalkers in a single match. Ridiculous game of PvP. Anyways. They're far and few between, but it is fun. We have a lot of damage, though, coming up for both players here. Ultimately, it's a lot of SCV kills on both sides. We have the third command center done right now for both players. Upgrades-wise, everything is slightly in favor here of ByuN by about maybe 20 seconds or so. He knows this because he did end up shutting down his opponent's NG base. So he killed the SCVs there, assuming he was looking at it. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff moving all over the map. Yeah, early game TVT is so complex. It's like a knife fight in a phone booth. Terrible idea. Man, there's so many losses. My god. There is no relaxing at all. Oh, he wants to get the kill on that Raven so bad. SCV trying to repair. Auto turret, though. Ultimately gets those Medevacs or those Cyclones to turn back home. Now, fighting against Micro Jackson himself, it is not easily done here. ByuN's very good at controlling his early game army. He's a little late, however, on the armory. And this is one of those things where ByuN can sometimes slip up a little. +1/+1. He was ahead in that department, but he was late on his armory, and therefore he can't go straight into 2-2. Luckily for him, in the midst of all this chaos, Oliveira has also not yet started up a armory of his own, so he's not going to be able to easily catch up in that department. Looks like the Medevac over here got shut down. ByuN did take control right here of the watchtower, but now Oliveira is going to have the sensor tower, which is not going to give him all the information, but he's still going to see an incoming attack, and he will have a few seconds to respond. Oliveira, of course, the Terran player, previously known as Time. I do think it's a great idea that if you decide to make a username change, right? If you do make that decision, which I think overall is pretty dumb, I don't think you should do it. But if you do decide to change your username, I highly recommend winning the World Championships next. It really does allow your username to stick a lot more. Just your friendly advice for the day. As we do have a couple of Cyclones here. Oh, this could be painful for Ollie. Okay. Turns around. A couple of the Marines will be able to finish at least one of the Cyclones. He wants to get a second, but sorry there to Jimmy. Okay. 2-2 starts up. Yeah, it's funny, like, so we've made all these moves, right? We've made each other look pretty hard here. I mean, like, aggressively, we're just hitting the opponent in the face, and we're just punching as hard as we can. But ultimately, as the dust settles, all the roads do lead towards Marines, Siege Tanks, Medevacs, Vikings, maybe a couple Liberators, maybe some Ravens. But all the roads do lead towards the good old standard Terran mid-game. Always cracks me up a little, because we have all these creative plays. Now, at this point, don't get me wrong, ByuN has got a very significant advantage, but what do? Do you push up a ramp into sieged up tanks when the opponent has Ravens? This reporter can only guess no. I've learned that from Donnie. Oh my god, how do you live? Jeez. Well, Jimmy wanted to end you, but... Oh, Viking got it done. Viking landed on the ground, Shut down the siege tank, then got picked up by the communal medevac. Oh, actually, we have two. I thought we were sharing one. Lovely place. Okay. Command centers are building. Upgrades are finishing here for ByuN. He has map control once more, just like in the previous game. And he's found what seems to be a bit of an opening into the opponent's main base, because that sensor tower is positioned in such a way that it's not gonna notice these little blips on the radar. Turns out it's complete bait. Oliveira is prepared on this side of the map. Here go the medevacs regardless. And this is an excellent way to throw a game. Brilliant decision right there from ByuN if he wanted to try and throw the game. Trying to make the best of the bad situation here. But that was a very significant blunder. He's like, haha, Oliveira. Nah, you didn't have vision on the right side. He didn't need vision on the right side of the map. Not necessary at all. 2-2 is going to finish up right now for Ollie. Command centers are coming. And now it's going to be time for the Chinese Terran to make a bit of a move around the map. Oh, alright. He's got some libs. ByuN did already take another command center in the far top left. He's also building one over in the 6 o'clock position. Difficult, of course, for these players to really gauge the situation right now, right? Like, we can look at the numbers and the amount of supply that they have and the amount of resources they've been mining, but I feel like that's one of those things that's easily lost when you're watching games. These players have no clue how much money or supply the opposing player has. So Oliveira, based off of instinct here, has to decide to, push up this ramp and make that call, because he realized that the previous fight there with those medevacs was such a detriment to what ByuN was doing that he can actually get away with this. But it's such a difficult call to make, but because before that point, he wasn't really taking any amazing fights. He's trying to see if he can shove forward here and potentially end the game. 16 Marines on the production tab all at once. ByuN right now, though, mostly broke. He still has a lot of mining, of course, but not going to be able to keep that up for a very long time. Or a very long Oliveira. Anyways, we do have Oliveira now breaking the high ground. Third base forced to lift off. Marines are going to try and see if they can kill the command center, and they do get it done. Siege tank line here looking really good for Ollie. A couple of SCVs here are spoiling the surprise of the command center at the bottom of the map. So Oliveira is going to go and head on down towards that direction. We have a lot of Marines on the watchtower right now. Another command center. Okay, taken as well here for the Chinese Terran. Another CC will fall. And this was such a nice game for ByuN. And then he decided to boost medevacs into the opposing player's main, and he lost all of them. Like, that is a bit of a ByuN classic. Like, ByuN is known as a player who's very momentum-based. He loves doing that sort of play. But my god, is it risky. Now, he's going to try and set up a surround. All of the tanks right now from Oliveira are currently on siege. And this may just be what ByuN is looking for as, well, he gets at least a couple of the tanks. Decides to back out of there. Okay. Yeah, I've seen ByuN really do a lot of those medevac boosts, though. And usually they work out, but not always. We're going to drop siege tanks onto siege tanks. In the meantime, the Marines are going around the site. Siege tanks in the main base have finished the job. I feel like this is a little overly ambitious here from Oliveira. But maybe he was done with that aggression and he knew that against Marines it would be difficult to retreat back home. So he'll be once again sitting up for the base defense. 3-3 is going to finish up momentarily. Upgrade advantage for ByuN is going to disappear. ByuN still has a lot of income though. I don't think either player... No, Oliveira has seen this one. I was going to say, I don't think they know of each other's bases in the top left. But Oliveira has seen that ByuN took one there quite a while ago now. Never taken the rich gas geyser though. Doesn't really need the minerals, I guess. But the rich Vespian gas is very nice. Push comes to shove, you just make some extra ravens. How's the command center count? 3 orbitals only. Versus 4 orbitals. Or also known as forbitals. And then additional command centers here that will likely grow either... Yeah, we have another one coming up over here, and this one will probably get a planetary. Looks like ByuN is going to be able to catch that one, though. In the meantime, Oliveira has brought a lot of men with guns towards the top left-hand corner. And that is an expansion that will just disappear. Yeah, no, I think there's enough Marines here for the player in red to continue fighting this. Also, trading this army out is, I think, okay. At least the command center over here wasn't meant to be, I guess, but ByuN is not really in a comfortable position anymore. The thing is, though, what do you do right now as Oliveira? Sure, you may know that you're ahead. Sure, you may have killed a bunch of CCs and done a lot of damage, but how do you close out this game? What do? Do you drive your units across the map? You know that the supply count can't be heavily favoring you. And if you push into a bunch of sieged up tanks where you're not paying attention, you might just accidentally give the opponent the advantage again. So instead what we do is we continue fighting. Ravens are coming up. There's a load of them already. 9 Ravens versus 0. Now this may be the opportunity now that ByuN has been looking for. My god, he comes in cruising. Woo, anti-armor missile or not. The men with guns strike again. Woo, okay, that was... I think that was the very best fight ByuN could have ever found. How does he keep doing that? I mean, that was still... yeah. It was costly, but he got a lot of units there from the opponent. He had the watchtower so he could see the opponent not being sieged up properly and sort of out of position. Oliveira's crisis management, though, all things considered during that fight, were really good. Like, he clearly was caught off guard, but he had to make the decisions there to still make the best out of that situation. And he managed to get it done. You can see that Oliveira is just trying to play SimCity. He's like, bro, like, let me make, you know, siege tanks. I just want to make a couple of missile turrets, maybe some command centers, that sort of thing. I might switch to some roller coaster tycoon later. Maybe I'll build a roller coaster somewhere on my side of the map. It's going to be fun. Like, he just wants to build structures. ByuN's making siege tanks and marines, which is an indicator of a broke Terran player. These are the only units he can properly afford, and he's working magic with them so far, but ultimately Oliveira is going to be able to remax with a much better army. Building armor, high-sec auto tracking coming up. As long as Oliveira doesn't get overwhelmed several times like that, he should be fine. This little choke point here. Oh, this siege tank. Body blocking that entire Terran army. ByuN did take the gold base here. But you can tell that ByuN has decided that he is no longer going to make a transition towards anything. It's just going to be Marines. It's just going to be tanks. Maybe some medevacs. And I wonder if it's the right call. Yeah, he starts up some additional refineries. It may be worth looking into other options as well, because I think Oliveira might be a little too good. Oh, we're going to do another YOLO drop? I mean, this game is going the way that it is because of the very first YOLO drop. We're going to try and do another one. Well, let's see that this one is going to be a... let's hope that this one is going to be a little bit more successful. So far, so good, but I don't think these planes are going to be able to go home, and neither will the Marines. Yeah. Desperation place. ByuN mostly just running into a wall here. Excellent defense by Oliveira, who didn't start off this game brilliantly, but who's looked incredibly good just playing the macro games. Not intimidated from that first game on Golden Aura. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on good old Oceanborn. ByuN's decided to build his very first structure on the other side of the map. He was told that the world is his oyster, or the map, I guess, is underwater. I don't know. It's a little confusing to me as well. He's gonna build double barracks though, so he will be able to get some Reapers into the opposing player's main base pretty easily. It is gonna be a single gas opener for Ollie for now, so he's gonna go for the fast command center. I'm actually flip the scoreboard there. And that could actually be kind of a problem. Main issue you run into right now as Oliveira, as he scouts, and he realizes that there's something off. Okay, He builds the CC in the main. That's a big deal. If he would have built it on a low ground, I think ByuN probably could have had the kill on it. He might still be able to get there, but that's a hell of a lot safer here for Oliveira. So that's why we SCV scout. Make sure that you know that everything's safe. I tried to very deliberately now say SCV, by the way, whenever I say the unit, because there's been a lot of people in the comment section that get confused by me calling SCVs what they believe to be SUVs. I have no idea how SCV becomes SUV, but anyways, SCV, Space Construction Vehicle. I actually had to Google what an SUV was. I wasn't even sure. We call those cars. Anyways, we have Reapers coming in. Now, we don't usually in the Netherlands have many different names for the shape of the vehicle. But yeah, SCV. What does SUV stand for? So we have Space Construction Vehicle? Yeah, is it like Space Utility Vehicle? I don't know. Anyways, a Reaper's coming in. Sports Utility Vehicle. That would make more sense. Let's see what the Reapers can do. Oh, well, they're gonna be shut in. Luckily here for ByuN, he's got jetpacks on his guys. Now that the Cyclone is out, though, life's gonna be much easier for Ollie. And this is not really looking... I mean, it's not looking like the end of the world, right? Like, it's 6 SCVs, which is really nice. Command Center is going to finish up eventually. The nice thing here for Oliveira is that he's already got the Command Center done, and mules are really nice. Getting double production on those workers is very powerful, but despite the 6 worker loss, he should be able to make up for that pretty easily here with that extra mule as soon as the income advantage updates. Yeah, it's gonna get there eventually. I promise you. I'm gonna do the big switcheroo, go into a Banshee. Okay. Barrack's gonna have to make the flight of shame all the way back home. It's a very embarrassed pilot sitting here, I would imagine. He's looking out of the window. That's okay. You still managed to get something done. Yeah, I like this position a little bit better for Oliveira. Despite the losses, it's not the end of the world. Gonna go straight into the 3rd gas geyser once again. And he will be able to go into, well, that Banshee play. Now, there's no cloaking upgrade. I'm assuming we're gonna see Ravens on the back of this, mostly because of the 3rd gas geyser. Ravens are very expensive. There it is. Raven, indeed, is gonna be queued up for the Terran in red. Yeah, we have space construction vehicles. And then we have mobile utility lunar excavators. Do you know mules can't attack? They're the only unit in StarCraft 2 that cannot attack. I think they're the only unit. They have, like, you can't technically bring them to the fight, I guess, but they have no option to attack. Is there another unit that can't attack? I guess Medifex can't attack. Warp Prisms can't attack. Changelings can't attack. Overlords can't attack. Overseers can't. Okay, there's about 12 units that can attack. Correction, Mule is one of the many units. Infestors can't. Vipers. Ravens have no auto attack either. Actually, most units can attack. In a military science fiction game, most units are unable to fight. That's what yeah. And the mule is one of them. This will be on the test, so I hope you've been taking notes. 3rd command center coming up here for ByuN. We already have one for Oliveira, though, about halfway done, who's now going to be the aggressor for once. I feel like we haven't seen Oliveira be aggressive in the early game a single time, but he now realizes, yeah, with that Raven, he can disable the opponent's siege tank. And this is gonna really quite hurt. I mean, there is another siege tank over here, I suppose. This one will wakey eventually. But already a lot of SCVs have gone down. Are we gonna double it? No, we're not gonna double it. We're gonna kill it instead with the auto turret. 9 SCVs going down. One of the lunar extractors, or excavators rather, was not quite mining there for quite a while. Losses on both sides, though. That was not a free attack, of course, for Oliveira. But he's already got the 3rd command center done. I mean, we see the same thing here for ByuN, maybe a half minute or so later. Let's see. ByuN is thinking about doing the same thing on the other side of the map. Jimmy is here to be locked onto by the Cyclones. It's a sad life, but somebody's gonna do it. There you go. He's dead. Yeah, it's gone. Alright. A Viking going around the map trying to see if maybe it can intercept something. Nothing though. Going across the map for Oliveira. Oh no. Who gave ByuN the medevacs? Who? Could somebody tell me who gave ByuN the medevacs? He's gonna do something stupid with him again, isn't he? No, ByuN, come on. ByuN, come on, man. Put the units on the ground, ByuN. Oh god. Well, maybe this time around it'll be a little bit better. But I mean, I don't really love the odds. We saw a similar situation at a very similar moment in the previous game, and ByuN basically donated 40 supply worth of units. Now, he's only brought about 25 or so this time around. I'm a little sketched out here. ByuN is gonna boost in, man. Maybe Oliveira accidentally finds it early? If he finds it early, then, I mean, it might actually work out beneficially here for ByuN. Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh. Okay. Alright. Wasn't the end of the world. I think that was okay. Somebody may have to log into ByuN's computer for a little bit and unhotkey the medevacs. But, like, only unhotkey the medevacs that are gonna be the stupid things, you know? Like, the other medevacs can stay. It's just the medevacs that are meant for YOLO drops like that. It's completely unnecessary, man. ByuN does a lot of those plays where he's like, well, I've got medevacs, may as well fill them up. Okay. Making the game a little bit harder for himself. Anti-armor missile. A lot of siege tanks coming up right now though for Oliveira. He's trying to sneak them out of range of the opposing player's siege tanks. One of them has been left behind, but he's gonna siege them up very close to the third base. Now that they're fully sieged, it's gonna be extremely handy. Tanks though, on siege coming in from the side. 11 SCVs have gone down. You know what would have been nice at this point? Another 15 supply worth of units. Yeah, that would have actually made the difference here. Like, at least one siege tank went down. Maybe like 6 or 7 Marines or so. Honestly, a lot. Oliveira grabs the opportunity with both hands. Always the one who's gonna transition towards those liberators first. Now you gotta make sure you don't overextend, because this is still double siege tank here for ByuN. He wants to wait until those libs are here. I mean, he could push in right now, but it's a little dangerous. There are no Vikings or anything like that for ByuN, so he can't really contest with the libs whatsoever. +2/+2. ByuN is much earlier with his. 4th command center though, about maybe 3/4 of the way done. In the meantime, we have Oliveira going for a push too. No medevacs, no missile turrets inside of the main base. This fight is mostly a bit of a wash, it seems. Both players taking some losses, but I think that, yeah, that suits Oliveira just fine. The main thing right here that I like though for ByuN is that he's got his upgrades much sooner. And in a straight up fight, those Marines with 1-1, in addition to, you know, the opponent's 1-1, it's very good. Makes a very significant difference. Army supply-wise, this game is totally fine for ByuN. He starts up a 4th command center right now, but you can kind of feel that this game is starting to slip out of his hands a little bit. Oh, who gave ByuN the medevacs? He's gonna do something stupid with it. Okay, fine. He got spotted by a Marine. Yeah, no, the scan over here reveals as well what's going on. ByuN forced to go back home. A couple of Liberators. They were meant to hunt siege tanks. There's some siege tanks over here desperately trying to use Stimpaks. They were part of the Stimpak control group, but no combat drugs for them. Oliveira is going to try and do something similar too, but he's checked, right? So this is the difference. Oliveira was just here with Liberators, and he knows that there are no missile turrets set up. Whereas what ByuN is doing, he's like, YOLO! Boost in, boys! Try and see what we can get. It's a dangerous play. Let's see, Oliveira. What can we do? I like how the boost ends right as you get to the other side of the map. That was smooth. And this is right as ByuN was about ready to go for a move out. Killing the engineering base is actually really quite nice. +3 attacks gets, or +3 armor rather gets the knight, but +3 attack. Not gonna be far behind at all. And the one advantage that I really liked for ByuN has just been, well, destroyed. 3-3. It's now gonna be at a small lead right here for Ollie. 4th command center gets spotted immediately. ByuN forced to turn around again. He keeps on stimming his units to try and catch up to those medevacs, but Oliveira sneaks away once again. Additional barracks coming up, 6, 7, and 8 right here for ByuN. No ghosts. In the other matchup, this would be the point where Terran vs Protoss, Terran vs Zerg, you would already have a Ghost Academy by now. The only matchup where ghosts aren't actually that great. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Not that many spellcasters, I suppose. No shields on a lot of these units. Sniping Marines. They have too much DPS for that to be worthwhile. 5th command center coming up. So Oliveira is so calm, man. He's not rushing any advantages. I'm actually really liking what I'm seeing from Oliveira in this series. Yeah, comes in with a pretty nice engagement over here. Loses a lot of Marines, though. But if he can prevent this base from mining, I think it's fine. Command center dies. And this is going to effectively turn whatever ByuN is doing into an all-in. I mean, ByuN is now stuck on 3 bases. He's going up against a Terran player who soon has got 5. Who's up in upgrades, who's got more units. I mean, with a good engagement, ByuN could still get back into this. But this is starting to look like it's fizzling out. Love the positioning on the Vikings. Intercepting a lot of aggression. Trying to see if he can kill a lot of those Marines. And ultimately, Oliveira will be pushed away. But yeah, ByuN sees where this game is headed. And he decides to tap out. Next up, we find ourselves on Site Delta. ByuN, look at this. He's staying at home. He's been grounded. The medevacs, will they be staying at home? That's my main question, but the units of ByuN are no longer allowed to move across. Alright. Well, the same can be said for Oliveira. This doesn't really surprise me all too much, but... do you guys think Reapers have functioning legs? Or do you think the legs are purely ornamental? I've been wondering about this, because they never touch the ground. They somehow have, like, infinite amounts of jetpack fuel. I mean, I'm a content creator, right? My legs are also mostly ornamental. Everybody knows that. Twitch streamers, YouTubers, I mean, especially gamers. They don't really, yeah. They're just kind of there. They're kind of just, you know, they make up a big part of my body weight, I guess, but we don't really... yeah, functionally they are cosmetic. It's one of the IRL microtransactions. Could have done without. Anyways. Medevacs coming up. This is a very, very basic game so far. Yeah, it's like both players have decided after all that aggression that we are just gonna chill for a little bit. Players at these big tournaments, by the way, are sometimes forced to take breaks, especially during long series. I don't really know exactly how they did it during the EWC, but it's not uncommon that after 3 games in a series, there is going to be a forced break. So there is a chance that both of these guys sit around for like 10 minutes and got a little bit of time to gather their thoughts. They can also, of course, request a break if they want it. But a lot of pro gamers actually choose not to do that.
This better be good.
Medevacs. pass each other in the night. ByuN decides to unload a bunch of his units. Now, there are, of course, units as well inside of the medevacs here for Oliveira, who brought a very similar army to the other side, but not bad here at all for ByuN. ByuN is going to be the one rushing out a Raven this time around. Yeah, maybe ByuN had like a little bit of a mental reset here. We're done with the strange decisions here, or the risky decisions. This seems a lot more of a conventional Terran style. So both players are effectively skipping a lot of that early game shenanigans. No Ravens, no Hellions, no early game. Like, I guess we have some drops going around, right? But this is like the bare minimum. This is essentially both players going straight to a mid-game army. Okay. He has found an angle. And this is gonna hurt Oliveira a little bit, who's been, yeah, sending his units out across the map himself as well. He's got a... It's an empty medevac, actually. It's just for scouting purposes. He sees the timing of the third base. I'm already not loving this for Oliveira. It's not a lot of losses. It's all very recoverable. Wait, what? Did he get the medevac? Where did the medevac go? Sorry, what? Did the medevac die? Or is it just... Was it hiding behind... No! No! Hi! All army hotkeyed! Against an empty medevac! That's an empty medevac! He all army hotkeyed against an empty medevac! I thought for a second I was blind and it was hiding behind, like, I don't know, my interface. Oh... Yeah, that's not the move. That is not the move. Sometimes there's those moments that I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait, where's the... And you know, it's like right there. It's right there in the middle of my screen. And I still don't notice it. Even with those units going down, it's actually quite a playable game for ByuN. But he does make it a lot more harder than it needs to be. A lot more harder. Great English. The players get a break, but I don't. Let's see. Yeah, ByuN might still be able to pull off some micro now, though. Because this is still a very playable game for him. Would have been amazing if he did not lose that medevac full of units. Stimpack is just about to finish up for Oliveira, and that is something ByuN needs to keep in mind. His upgrade is actually pretty late. Okay, looks like Oliveira is going to disable one of the opponent's tanks. Siege up his own. Going to be able to get easy kills. Yeah, you got to be really cautious here. I like how prepared Oliveira seems to be in these situations, though. Not really rushing himself. I mean, it's going to come at the cost of 2 tanks. Maybe he should have rushed himself, but you get my point. He seems really confident in these base defensive situations, but yeah, I think ByuN is ultimately still getting a ton of value here. Because in the meantime, the man has landed a command center on the low ground, and he's starting to get a lot of resources here. Stimpack now done as well for the player in blue. We're sending one of the libs around. ByuN actually slow pushing into the opponent's base. He needs to be careful though, because a lot of his army is not here. A lot of his army is caught up on the other side of the map. And this is exactly what Oliveira is thinking too. He decides to stim down the ramp and clean up all of those units. Oliveira, obviously the defender for such a long time. It allows him... Oh, nice snipe right there by ByuN. It allows him to get a lot of damage in. Now, this Liberator has shut down the mining in the main base for ages though, after killing 7 SCVs. Resources lost-wise, you can tell here that Oliveira has been losing a lot of stuff. And economically, he doesn't really have an advantage. Ambitious play right there by Jimmy, who got nothing done. 1-1 just finished up, though, for Oliveira. And he may be thinking that that is what he needs to be using here. Because economically, he's just not in a good spot. Jimmy, no! Jim, no! Oh, okay. He's hoping the empty medevac is going to scare all of this away. Yeah, maybe donate a siege tank too. Okay. Well, those liberators have had a lot of value though. Not bad here whatsoever for ByuN. Okay. Now please don't YOLO medevac drop though. Completely unnecessary here. I'm sure it's going through ByuN's head at this point. At some point, ByuN just sees a red in front of his eyes. He's like, you know what I should do? Load my guys into medevacs and go, go, go. ByuN, don't do it. I know this is a stressful situation, but... 4th command center coming up. We see the same on the other side. +2/+2 coming up for both players. It's just that ByuN has got a very nice army advantage. Again, it's difficult to push in this matchup. Trying to find the correct engagement is not easily done. I think he can probably go after this base on the left. He hasn't seen it. He's probably expecting the 4th command center to be building over here, even though he's doing the exact objective on the other side of the map too. Okay. Okay, well, Oliveira catches one of the siege tanks off guard. Actually, the entirety of the army, but the numbers are not here. What he does have, though, is siege tanks right over there to back up into. And that was a great start right there for Oli. I don't think you can really hope for a much better engagement. In the meantime, a small squad of Marines, not supported by anything. Even the SCV believes it can join. Okay. Yeah, a couple more of those engagements though, and life is actually a lot better again for Oliveira. Which may be why ByuN oftentimes feels a little pressed to go into those doom drops. Can't blame him. It works really well, I think, against the average Terran. Like in a ladder game, I can imagine ByuN has like 100% win rate with those doom drops, but Oliveira is a world-class Terran. He knows what he can do. And he's been prepared against a lot of that shenanigans here. Now, ByuN never really transitioning towards higher tier units very much, so he's had the perfect opportunity to transition towards, for example, Ravens, but that's just not his jam. He's going into more Marine, more tank, and he is, well, looking into more wins. This might just be where he's gonna be able to get it. Does he have the numbers to overwhelm Oliveira at this point in time? Siege tanks for Oliveira set up in really good spots. 2-2 is just about to finish up for the player as well in red. So those upgrades are even, but already a lot of the Marines have disappeared. Reinforcing units stimped across the map to get here a little bit faster. We have a bit of a drop going into the main base. I don't mind this one. It's gonna draw that entire attention here from Oliveira away. In the meantime, the command center is within range of the siege tanks. Drop in the main base, though, is gonna get cleaned up. Would have loved to see a 1-2 punch, but honestly, killing the command center here would be massive. SCVs decide to go in for the for the repair, and in the meantime, a lot of Marines are dropping on the opposing player's siege tanks. Trying to get them to deal some friendly fire, trying to clear some of them out. 18 workers have gone down, 20 now. Command center is lifted. Oliveira's army is still massive though, and keep in mind that these guys are on the same upgrades. They're making the same units. Oliveira believes he can go into the +3. That is an ambitious move. Generally speaking, if you can only afford one, you will always go for the attack. This is no exception. Yeah, ByuN he needs to be very careful. Medevacs once again get spotted. Great defense here by Oliveira. 5th command center in the meantime though at the bottom of the map here for ByuN. 3 o'clock base up and running as well. It's gonna start up some missile turrets. Vikings heading up north. ByuN though in the meantime just regrouping pretty much his entire army minus 20 supply. These are on the left. This entire army here is moving in through the center. And this is the engagement I think he's been looking for. Because he's once more gonna be able to get those siege tanks within a very nice range. That orbital command is certainly not safe, and there it is. This is what he's been looking for. GG is cold. It's ByuN who wins game number 4. And that means that it all comes down to this. Final map in this best of 5 series. We find ourselves on Amphion. It's Oliveira opening up with the Reaper. And he gets the command center slowed down over here on the low ground. Fair enough. I feel like overall, both players have been playing really well. If I have to pick a favorite, I guess I would go with ByuN, who's already losing quite a few SCVs here. 2 of them go down. Third one in a little bit of trouble. Alien, though, will be popping out eventually, but this is looking really nice right now for Oliveira. If he can slow down this thing one more time, oh, that's massive. Whew, okay. Yeah, I feel like overall I've been slightly more impressed by ByuN throughout this series. However, he's also been a little over-eager sometimes, right? So he was ahead. The reason why I'm saying I think I'm a little bit more impressed is because he was ahead as well in some of the previous games. But then he threw it all away. There's a little bit of irony, by the way, with ByuN taking so much damage from a Reaper. Oh, this is not good, ByuN. Nah, this ain't it. At least the command center is now done. There's a Cyclone waiting on the high ground, so I think he should be able to push this back. Yeah, that Cyclone is really handy. Okay. 4 SCVs down. And in the meantime, of course, Oliveira has expended at the same pace here of the opponent. There's once again a third gas geyser coming up. Nothing yet here for ByuN. So we will be seeing a pretty quick Raven transition. More than likely here for Oliveira again. Oliveira, though, feels like he might just be able to put in some more work on the other side of the map. Out-microing ByuN. Not bad. What would be ByuN's, what would be Oliveira's micro name? If we have Micro Jackson, Micro Jordan, there's gotta be some more options out there. Not that many puns, I guess, for the name Oliveira. Micro Bublé. Well, I guess Micro Bublé will be coming up again soon, right? Both in real life as well as in the game. It's September. Before you know it, you're walking around in the grocery store. And Michael Bublé thinks that it's starting to look like Christmas. It's beginning. You're like, Michael, no! It's beginning to look a lot like... No! Please, not yet. Not yet. ByuN has decided that it's time for him to go across the map right now. He's trying to do a little bit of a distraction. Ooh, losing this medevac though would be absolutely massive. Lovely micro right there by Micro Bublé. I feel like we can do better than that. Anyways, that is also gonna shut down this aggression here at the front. Oliveira, of course, feeling confident now. He decides to go for a fast second starport. If he can get the siege tank, it would be massive. If he can get the siege tank, that would be massive. Oh, Reapers, you're not supposed to be killing siege tanks. That's not in the rules. ByuN is like, ref, is that allowed? Yes. No, it's perfectly allowed. It just never happens. This Liberator needs to kill about 10 workers. In the meantime, there's a drop inside of the main base of ByuN as well. Speaking of killing 10 workers. There's also a drop over here in the natural now, though. Liberator actually did shut down a lot of the stuff. Oh, you know what? Oh, hold up right now. Oliveira just lost a tremendous amount of economy. He's now gonna lose the siege tank here, it looks like, as well. Maybe not. In the meantime, though, the natural expansion of ByuN is forced to lift off. Now, siege tank lives. Repair is nice. Medevac cleans up everything else. Is there enough for Oliveira to win this game? And with it, this series, right here, right now. I think he might just have the superior numbers. 22 SCVs from ByuN have gone down. There's the second starport for him as well. Vikings are landed on the ground. Oh, is there still enough? I mean, the Reaper grenades. Those Reapers have been doing so much damage. GG is cold. Oliveira gets the job done. It's almost like he's laughing in ByuN's face, because ByuN single-handedly is the reason why the Reaper got nerfed twice in StarCraft 2's history. Oliveira absolutely destroys ByuN with the Reapers in this final game, and, well, with it, he wins the series. Very well done.